Shavuot Tov, everyone. Welcome back to part 3 of Lecha, Dodi by the Frierdiker Rebbe that was given on the wedding of the Rebbe and Rebbetzin on Yud Kislev, the year 5789. I don't know what that translates to in the English years. I think it might be... No, I can't hang on. Anyways, it doesn't matter. 1928. There you go. Anyway, so we've already gone through the first ois. I'll just quickly read the kitzur in English so we can do a recap. And then we'll move on to ois base. So the discourse explains that a groom and bride correspond to the supernal spheres of Za and Malchus, Zeranpun and Malchus. Welcoming the bride is similar to welcoming the Shabbos, which is the source of blessings for all the days of the week. The honor of the groom refers to Hashem's love for Jewish people, and the honor of the bride refers to the Jewish people's love for Hashem. The chuppah is the essential transmission. But before the chuppah, the groom covers the bride's face with a veil, which is the connection between the external faculties of the giver with the external faculties of the receiver, so that there may be a deeper, more essential transmission and reception. Okay, so just to say that in easier English, when so bride and groom, we said it's Malchus and Za. The bride is Malchus, groom is Zerampin, and when we welcome in Shabbos, it's like welcoming a bride, and that's the source of all blessings. Like Shabbos is the source of blessings of the days of the week, and yeah. And then we have the two different levels of love. The level that comes from the honor of the groom, it's like Hashem loving the Jewish people, because the groom is the mashpia, is the giver, and the bride is the receiver, the makabel. So in this case, Hashem's the mashpia, us Jewish people are the makabel. And so from the level of the groom, it's Hashem giving love to the Jewish people, and from the level of bride, it's the Jewish people is giving love to Hashem. And the chuppah is the essential transmission. So it's the thing that connects the two. But before that happens, before this deep essential transmission, we like the procession of a chuppah is there's the Kabbalas Panim for the men, and they go out to greet the bride. The groom puts a veil on top of the groom. The groom puts a veil on the bride, and that's an external transmission of intimacy, and how do we say it? It's the external faculties of the giver. It's a connection with the external faculties of the giver to the receiver. And then after that, they've done this external connection, then they can go deeper, and that they go into the chuppah and have a more intimate connection. Okay, so now onto ois base. Uveyir ha'inyan hu, and the explanation of this idea is Hine amru razal psachim daf kufyutes amud aleph. The sages say in Psachim daf kufyutes amud aleph, Rabba mikame tefasach lahu l'Rabbanon ama milsa divdichusa uvadchu rabban v'lif soif Yosef memsa ufasach bishmata. Okay, so before Rabba would begin teaching his students, he would make a humorous remark. He would make a humorous remark, which would cause his students to laugh. After that, he would sit in awe and open to begin teaching his teachings. Okay, so we have like a little story. Rabbi would teach his students, but before he starts off his class, I think a lot of good teachers, he'd start off with a joke. I guess this is where Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson gets his inspiration, because he's often starting his teachings with a joke. Okay, so I guess we're going to explain what that means. The hamashpia tzarich lipsayach lehu l'rabanan v'hainu la'sos es mekabel ra'u l'kabel dvar ha'ashpa'a al yedei psichas hakelim. The giver, the mashpia, needs to open up to his students, and this is and this is like that he must prepare the makabel, the receiver, to be worthy to receive the transmission, to receive the teachings, by first exciting their senses and faculties. Okay. V'hachoshim sheloi v'tarich liptoach bishmatza shehiyeh dvar hashpa'a lefi erech mekabel. Then then he must make another preparation to open up his teachings, which entails ensuring that his teachings are measured according to the faculties of his students. Okay, so we just explain what it said in the Gemara. This joke that he starts off his teachings with is to open up the students, because it excites their senses and faculties. And after that, because they're open to his teachings, then it says he needs to make another preparation to open his teachings, which entails ensuring his teachings are measured according to the faculties of the students. Okay, but what is doesn't really say what this other preparation is, but anyways, let's continue. V'lois hine mikame defasach lahul rabbanon la'asosam l'chli kabal amar milsa divdichusa. Therefore, before he opened his students to prepare them to be ready to receiving his teachings, Rabbi would make a humorous remark. Hang on, I just want to understand this. Okay. Umilsa divdichusa hush sichas chulin. Now this humorous remark can be categorized as casual conversation. V'im hayos desichos chulin shel talmidei chachamim tzarichim limud. Of which it says that even the casual conversations of Torah sages needs to be learned and studied. Lefi sheyesh bahem chachma rabba v'sichlim amukim. Since these sayings contain great wisdom and intellectual depth, nonetheless, these sayings are considered to be merely an external representation of the sage. Okay. V'agam dmi shehu gadol yoser harei gam hasichos chulin shelai hem b'madrega gavoha yoser sheyesh l'lmod b'hem harbe inyonim niflayim. The greater the sage, the greater his casual conversation will be, from which many lofty concepts can be learned. Ve'im ki zehu rak nevlois bilvad mikol makom hein gufei chachma uchmamar razal l'shayin chachamim baracha. And although these sayings represent just the fallen wisdom of the sage, they are still actual wisdom that contain much depth, as our sages say. These the statements of the sages are blessings. The words of the sages are blessings. The words of the sages are wealth. The sages of the statements of the sages heal. so we're kind of, the Frierdiker Rebbe is explaining that they're like, even though the rabbi, he would start off his teachings with a joke and it's merely just some casual conversation, that nevertheless, these casual conversations, their intention is just to open up the students, excite their senses, and getting them prepared to receive the real teaching. Even these casual conversations contain lofty concepts that are still important, and we can learn a lot from them. As like we're learning the Gemara, Kislev, Daf, Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph, that the statements of the sages are blessings, the statements of the sages are wealth, and the statements of the sages are keel. So it's any statement really. So the hu shimusha shel ta'ira. This is referred to as attending to a Torah scholar. V'amru Razal brachas daf zayin amud beis gedola shemusha shel Torah yoser milimuda shenemar poi Elisha ben Shafat asher yotzak mayim al yedei Eliyahu. So the Gemara says in brachas daf zayin amud beis, attending to a Torah scholar is greater than studying under him. As it said, Elisha, son of Shaphat, is here, who poured water over the hands of Eliyahu. Okay, so Lamad loy nemar ela yatzak milamed shegdola shimusha yosef milimuda. The verse does not attribute Elisha's greatness to the fact that he studied under Eliyahu, but rather to his pouring water over Eliyahu's hand. So this teaches us that attending to a Torah scholar is greater than studying under him. I think he's bringing it up as a separate point. No, actually no. He says it's referred to as attending to a Torah scholar. So just, I guess, listening to these casual conversations from your teacher is attending to a Torah scholar, because he brings this story out. Okay. V'hinei liv saif yasiv be'emsa v'fasach bishmatsa. And after that, Rabbi would sit in awe and open his teachings and begin his teachings. So after this whole casual conversation, giving jokes, the students attending to their teacher, then Rabbi would start his actual teaching. Dilimud hatayra tzarich liyotz b'yiras shemayim. Torah needs to be studied with fear of heaven. V'chamamar ma lahalan be'ema b'yira v'reses u'v'seya af kan chulum. Our sages teach that just as the Jewish people received the Torah at Har Sinai with all fear, trembling, and perspiration, so too, hang on, I feel like I'm reading ahead. No. So too must one feel whenever he studies Torah. Okay. So like whenever we study Torah, we should have like the same level of all fear and trembling and perspiration, just like when we receive the Torah from Har Sinai. Because I guess the Frierdiker Rebbe is teaching that's no different. Like us learning Torah is the same as receiving Torah from Har Sinai. V'hainu dichshem shebematan Torah ksiv v'yad ha'am v'yanu v'yamdu mirachok hine k'moy chen be'es limud ha'Torah tzarich liyos b'vitul gadol u'v'yira gadola. And this is and just as this is written about the giving of Torah, that the people saw and trembled and stood from afar. Similarly, whenever one studies Torah, they need to be bottled. They need to nullify they need to study it with like a great nullification and a great fear. Meaning like they're a nobody, they're just like learning it from a complete selfless perspective. It's meaning like they're not in existence, they're learning it for its essence, they're not putting in their own I guess, how do I say it? They're not being influenced by their own ideas and perspectives, but it's just purely like I'm learning it for what it is and learning it with the fear that it's like this is what Hashem is telling me to do. Aval koidem tzarich harav liptayach chushay hamakabel v'hoy al yidei milsa dividi chusa. But before the Torah student can begin learning, the teacher needs to open up his faculties, and this is accomplished by the teacher's humorous remark. V'yadua dichlalus inyan habdichusa shelifnei halimud hu lahalois lahagbia el hatalmidim sheyu be'erech lekabel es ha'ashpa'a sheyashpia lahem hamashpia. The humorous remark that precedes the lesson raises the student to a higher standing, so that they'll be able to receive and understand the teacher's lessons. So I think I have a feeling that the Frierdiker will get there, but it's kind of like this external transmission, the external connection that we're talking about with the groom and bride, the mashpia, so that the teacher is giving this external connection to the students, kind of saying some casual jokes, maybe bringing in some story he had in his life, getting connected on an outer level, but not really not really the deep connection, and it raises the students, the makabel, on a level of the teacher where I don't know if they're on the same level, but on a level where they're able to receive what the teacher is about to actually teach. So, Durav v'salmid einam be'erech zeh la'zeh. Now, in our scenario, the teacher is incomparably greater than the student. V'atalmid tzarich liyos bevitul lifnei rabbi v'chamamar kol talmid chacham hayashev lifnei rabbi sif soisav no tfos mar chulu. It is, so the teacher is greater than the student. It is for this reason that the student needs to be bottled before his teacher. And as our sages say, a Torah scholar kol talmid chacham, a Torah scholar who sits before his teacher, hayeshev lifnei rabbi. So yeah, all Torah scholars that sit before the teacher, and whose lips do not drip with bitter dread. Okay. Shahu b'sachlis habitul. This refers to a state of complete subordination. A Torah scholar who sits before his teacher, and his lips do not drip with bitter dread. Okay. V'lozos hinei habdichusa hu noisen kayach b'hatalmid shayuchal lekabel divrei rabbi. This is the reason for the humorous remark. It's to empower the student. It's to give power to the student. It's to give power to the student to be able to receive the words of his teacher. V'derech klal hu pa'el b'sichas halev v'hamoyach shel hatalmid sheyeh kli l'kabbalah. And generally speaking, it opens up the heart and mind for the student so that he'll be able to receive, so that he'll be a worthy recipient. Okay. So that's what I was saying. This humorous remark, this casual talking a teacher starts off his class with, is to get the student on a level where he can be able to receive what the teacher's actual lesson is. And just a last quick paragraph before I finish off for the night. Maybe I'll keep going because I'm almost at the end of ice base. We'll see. והגם דזהו עניין חיצוני, הנה חיצוני זהו הקדמה אל הפנימיס. And although the humorous remark merely creates an external connection between teacher and student, hang on. Al yedei keruv zeh shel harav lemad lahem vilsa divdichusa al yedei zeh davka yuchlu lekabel hashpa'a b'nimis tefasach bishmatza. So although the humorous remark merely creates an external connection between teacher and student, nonetheless, this external connection paves the way for their deeper, more internal connection. For it is specifically through the closeness initiated by the teacher telling his students humorous remark that they can ultimately receive the internal transmission of his teachings. Okay, see, the Frierdiker Rebbe just keeps reiterating what he's been saying. This, like, I feel like, this whole ice so far has been just keeps talking bringing up the same point, right? Really emphasizing this external, how important this external connection is, before getting to the internal transmission. So I think we'll finish this ice tonight. Just a few more small paragraphs left, and then next video we'll get to ice gimel. Okay. So v'al derech mashal ben yonik v'katan kishe aviv roiteh lishtasheya imay panim el panim. Take for example, through a story. That's what literal translation, but okay. Take for example, a father who wishes to play with his very young son, face to face. Hang on, I read that sentence weirdly. Take for example, a father who wishes to play with his very young son face to face. Where do we bring this up? This is our Torah. Okay. Vare hatinak hu katan. Since the child is small, tzarich ha'av lashpil es yadav shehem gvahim v'nalim meirash hatinoik ad lamata mitachas hatinoik ulhagbihai ad roshai shel av az yidaber v'yishtas sheya imay panim b'fanim. So even though since this child's really small, the father needs to lower his hands, which are normally above the child's head, until they are underneath the child. And then he must pick up the child until the child is at the same level as his head. Only then can the father speak with his child and play with him face to face. Okay, so that's like a really good. This whole thing we're talking about teacher giving a humorous remark and like casual conversation before his class. It's kind of like something you can kind of help, but it's still kind of not really. It's not really a practical example for what we're trying to teach. So we have this example. You have the father, he's like a tall man, and then you have his little child, is short, is small, and they want to play with each other, but they're on completely different levels. So what does the father need? He needs to pick the child up. He needs to bring his hands, which are from above, bring them down low, and then pick him up, so face to face. And that's the external transmission, the external connection, and then from there they can play face to face and have a good time. They can talk, and then they form an internal transmission. So v'hadei hamshacha shel chesed ha'av Palas Yadafu Chitonias Shehu Rak Lahagbia Es Hatik Tinoik. In this example, the father's act of kindness in lowering his hand is a completely external expression of the father's connection with his son. He does this just to pick up the child. So that's exactly what I just said. It's the picking up of the child is the external transmission. This child, the child also does not receive anything from the actual act of his father lifting him. Ki halai lai yesh bazeh shum hashpa, as there is no giving on the father's part yet. The hashpa v'hasha'ashuim im b'nai hu rak achar kach kashek kvar hagbihai. The father only gives his child later, after he has lifted the child, and actually begins playing with him. So this external connection, this external transmission, on its own, doesn't really do anything. When a teacher starts his class off with a joke, and in what we're talking about most of this ice, teacher starts off his class with a joke or like a casual conversation about his life, it doesn't really give the students anything. They don't, whatever they're about, like you come to a biology class, the teacher starts talking about how he went to the movies on the weekend with his friends or whatever it is. You don't learn anything about biology, but you get a connection with your teacher. You learn his language, whatever the external connection is. But on its own, it's nothing. But when he starts teaching his class, he starts teaching biology or Torah, whatever it is. That casual talk that was about nothing really, could be a bit nothing, meant it was important, because without that, the class itself, the class by itself would be like, I don't know if it's completely, it would be completely irreceivable. That's not the word. Whatever the word of the class wouldn't be able to be received, to be understood, but definitely wouldn't be able to understand the class on the same level with having this external connection. So v'rak shehi efshar liyos hashpa b'kiruv uvif nimiyos shela yiyeh tchila keruv v'aliyas hamakabel. Simply, it is impossible for there to be the close, deep interaction between father and child without the child first being raised. Shehu hakeruv hachitzoni shehu bishvil hashpa pnimis. This is an external connection that precedes and enables the deeper internal connection. Okay. Now we're on the last paragraph, which is just the kitzur of this whole ice. So let's go through it quickly. Yivayer ha derabba mekamed defosach lehu l'rabanon l'shaisam kelim ruyim lekabel es devar hashpa batera amar lahem milsa divdichusa lahalois es hamakablim sheyuchlu lekabel es devar hashpa. So this Mimer explains that before Rabbi would teach his students, before Rabbi would open to begin his teaching his students, in order to make them fitting kalim to receive the Torah that he was about to teach, he will make a humorous remark to raise the recipients so that they would be able to receive his teachings. Attending to a Torah scholar is greater than studying under him. Although this humorous remark is only an external expression of the sage, in contrast to the deep internal transmission of his teachings, nonetheless, it is this specifically that serves as a harbinger to the internal transmission. I don't know what that word means. Kind of like a bridge, maybe. Kedugmas ha'av hamedim es b'noi hakatan lishtas sheya imoy b'keduv panim b'fanim. This is like a father who lifts his young child up so he can play with him closely, face to face. All right, shkayach. Tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll start Ois Gimel. I don't know how long it is. Maybe we'll finish it tomorrow night. Whatever the case is. Thank you for tuning in. This so far is Geschmack Maimer, and I hope it's teaching you some crazy insights. Maybe tomorrow night I'll start my video off with a humorous remark so you can actually understand what I'm teaching. But B'ezrat Hashem, you're already understanding what it's teaching, because I'm just relaying on what the Frierdiker Rebbe was teaching. So, if the Frierdiker Rebbe wants you to understand what he's teaching, maybe somewhere in here there's some humorous remark or some casual conversation, whatever the case is. Have a Shavua Tov. See you next time.